Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at KASPA. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have our higher time frame video up above, so check it out if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. So as we discussed in our previous higher time frame video, what we're talking about is the potential of actually seeing this as the white wave 5 over here. Now it is possible that this white wave 5 could potentially complete already into this point, and we could be looking for a deeper retracement here, potentially towards this zone here of this 21,915. To this 12779 area. Now this would be the most common area we'd be looking for. Maximum we would want to go down to is this 8261. Now if we are looking at the structure, there is still potential that we are looking to complete this higher up, so we're going to go over this idea. If we are looking at this as a completed move here, what we would be saying is that more locally we have this as 1 2 3 4, and we have an extension in the fifth wave. So if we do start to see this looking to break down in a bigger way, what we could see is either the potential that this move becomes a wave 2, and then we're going to see even more extension, or alternatively, like I said, this becomes our white fifth wave, and then we're looking to break down for that fourth wave in a three-wave structure. Now it is also possible that we could count this as 1 2 1 2, which would mean that this move is extending out, and what that would mean is that we have higher prices to come before we look for that break to the downside. Now within this idea, what we'd be saying here is that this could be potentially 1 2 1 2 here, and that we are actually within the blue fourth wave. Now the blue fourth wave target area is this 41637 to this 32429. Now because of the fact that we are within this area, we do have the potential for a fourth wave to form. Now the previous fourth wave is over here, and what we typically see within an Elliott wave is that these fourth waves tend to test the previous fourth wave area. If we do continue to hold this 32429, what we could then see is that this move could potentially be looking for another push to the upside here, looking for this 63845 to this 56184. Now we need to also be careful, however, because we were discussing this in the previous video. We could also have further extension where this is 1 2 1 2, we get another 1 2 here, and then we look to push up in a bigger way here. But primarily this is the way that I'm looking at the structure. If we continue to hold this 22429, what we could then see is this fifth wave up. Now within this idea here, we're going to come down into the lower degree count. Now if we are looking at this move to the downside here as a fourth wave, what I am looking for is that this move could potentially just be W, X, and Y. Now we have actually come down and we have hit the 1-to-1 of this W wave here already. Now what I want to see is that if this is W, X, and Y here, what I'd be anticipating is 5-wave structure to start to develop to the upside. Now it is possible that we could have this as W, X, Y. This could also be another X wave here, and we could see another Z wave to the downside. Now if we are looking at this idea of a Z wave down, what this would mean is that we would be looking for 3-wave structure to the downside. Now that 1-to-1 of the W wave would be looking to push us down here towards this 034523, which would be quite an interesting area because it would be bringing us back into the lows of this previous fourth wave. So what I want to see here is that if we are looking at an impulse looking to develop to the upside, I want to see this starting to hold this low, and what I want to see is price form 1 2 3 4 and 5. If we fail to do that, then it's still possible that we could see this continuation to the downside, looking for this zone of this 34523. So at the moment I am just watching these lows to see if we get a reaction. We do only have 3 waves down at the moment here, but what we need to be careful of is that there's always a potential within this structure. There could be some extension going on where we get something like this as 1 2, we get this as another 1 2, and if we start to break down in a bigger way, this could actually become a bigger 5-wave pattern. So until we actually start to break back above this X wave high here of this 47193, we need to be very careful of this idea of a direct continuation to the downside where this starts to actually get a bit more impulsive. Now even if we are completed this as W, X, and Y into this, and we fail to form this additional X and a Z wave here, what we could still see, if this is going to be a bigger corrective pattern, is this whole move could then become A. We could see 3-wave structure developing to the upside here for a B wave, in which case we could still look to reject in this zone here of the 786, which would be this 48350 to this 43981. Now if we do see something like this, I will be keeping an eye out on the potential that we get a 3-wave move up here, and then we could see price look to just push back down at a later stage. This would still align with the idea of this being at fourth wave, and would rather mean here that potentially we could look to target out this 50% level, which would be this 3242 2429. So within these ideas, we need to obviously watch these different pivot points here and see how the price reacts. If we do just see this move up in 3 waves here, and then we start to see something a bit more complex, we could start to see this idea of this being a bigger ABC pattern, where we could still look to come back down low into these zones. So we need to obviously get confirmation here that this 4th wave is completed. Until it does actually start to give us nice clean impulsive structure, we need to be careful of this idea of this extending sideways. Now, if we are going to argue that this is looking to break out, what I would be looking for here internally. Now, the problem that we have currently within this count is we can potentially argue that we have something like a diagonal pattern here, where effectively this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but diagonals are not as reliable as a starting wave. So we need to also just be careful, because this could just be 3 waves up, like we said for that X wave, and then we start to form this as an A wave, get a B wave, and then we still see that continuation down. So primarily what I want to see here, if the bullish case is actually going to play out here, where this is 1, 2, and what we're looking for is this 49682 as a possible target, is this area here of this 37271 holding. If we lose this lower level, effectively then this invalidates the idea of this being an impulse from this point. If we start to lose that zone, it becomes more likely we're going to see that 3-wave structure down for that Z wave, and then potentially look for this possibility of an impulse to the upside. If, however, we continue to hold this, and we continue to hold this 38505, what we could then see is price could start to rally to the upside. Now, this could always also just be A, B, and C, and we see a push up towards this 45221, which would be a corrective structure. And what this means is, when we get a corrective structure, what this is against a trend, and typically speaking, we're going to see trend continuation after that point. So what we want to see is this 1618 getting hit here at this 49682. If we do see something like this, where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the upside like this, what we could then get is that this could then form another wave 2 here, and then we could look to continue to push up in a bigger way. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on these levels here. Like I said, primarily, if we hold this low here, we can look for this direct push to the upside, but we need to be careful of that idea that that 4th wave could still be incomplete, and we could be looking for that continuation down. Now, with another way that we talked about this in the previous video was saying that we could have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and this was just our completed 5th wave. But until we actually break this 34800, we need to just be aware of that possibility that this could still become 1, 2 here, and we could still see a trend continuation to the upside, in which case the target for this 3rd wave would be the 71160. So if we do continue to hold this support level, and we start to see 5-wave structure develop here, where we get something like this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this could potentially be the start of the next move to the upside, where we see 5 waves up, 3 waves down, and then we look to continue. That's why this is going to be important, maintaining this most local low that we've got over here. And then as well as that, as long as we stay above this 34726, we could look for this to have an extension here. If we cross this point, then the likelihood is that we are still looking for this idea of a 4th wave here, where we could see this as WXYXZ, and we could still then look for that continuation after this move. If, however, we start to lose this 32429, this doesn't mean that all the bullish counts are out the window, because what we could still have here is that it is possible that we could argue that within the structure here, we have this as 3, 4, and 5, and then we could have it's just a really small 4th wave here for the blue count, and then we could still be within the yellow count here. But we, like I said, we need to be very careful, because it is possible that we could have completed that higher degree wave 5, which means we're going to be looking for a deeper retracement. Now, alternatives to this, if we're looking at bullish counts looking for extension, would be the potential that we have something like this, where internally, like I said, we have 1, 2, 1, 2 here, and this becomes another 1 and a 2. Now, the idea here would be that we'd be looking for a bigger 3-wave structure to the downside, looking to push down towards this zone, typically of this 31431 to this 24408. So if we do see something like this, we do start to get a bigger push to the downside, we could potentially still look to find support here. Now, an interesting area would be this golden pocket, this 28317 to this 27527. This would align with coming back up into this bit of structure that we've got here, and we'd have to keep an eye on this to see if we actually get this move down here you know, how it actually plays out. If it starts to play out impulsively, we do need to be a little bit careful because, like I said, either we could have this as a completed move here, and then we start to form something like this as 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5. Then we get a bigger 3-wave move up, and then we get another 5-wave structure down, looking at something like this as a bigger ABC pattern, in which case we could be looking for these lower targets here, which is sitting towards this 28257 to this 15842. So if we do see something like this, this could either become 1 2, or alternatively, on that higher degree count, we could be looking for this idea of the blue 4th wave over here, where we could be looking to come back and retest this previous white 4th wave zone. So it is still possible here, and you know, given the fact that we are still holding that structure, as long as we hold this 32429, I'm going to be looking for this potential of this 5th wave. If we start to lose that level, however, we need to be careful that we could be looking for that deeper retracement and looking for the price to actually break down in a bit of a bigger way here. Now, looking at the naked points of control that we have more locally here, we do have two sitting a little bit below us here at this 36729 and this 3625. Now, this would align with that idea of coming back down here in the Z wave, looking to sweep these areas. If, however, we look above us here, we also do have these two naked points of control sitting here towards this 45989 and this 46214. So because of that fact, if we do see 3 waves up here, we could potentially look for an interaction with these highs, and then we could look for that continuation down after that point. So I'm just going to be keeping an eye on these two different levels here. If we do see A, B, and C, then we could still be within the idea of that bigger A, a B, and a C to the downside, where they're looking for that bigger corrective structure. If, however, we do look to push down directly here, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this level here. We also do have, obviously, that 1-to-1 lower down here at this 34523, which would align with coming back into these lows. So this is going to be very important. We do have that support zone. We need to watch how it reacts in there. And until we actually start to see, you know, some impulsive structure breaking to the upside, like I said, 49628 would be our current 1.618 we'd be looking for. Until we actually see that, we need to just be aware that this move could get a lot more complicated and we could just have a bigger corrective structure in play here. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we are currently underneath our central lines. For as long as we stay below these lines of this 41313 and this 40346, we have potential to come back down here and test these lower targets. Lower targets for today would be this 38243, 34679, 32035, and this area here of this 28575. So if we do look to continue to hold this zone as support here at this 38243, what we could then see is price could react to the upside, looking for some of these higher targets. So targets to the upside for today would be this 44310. We have this area here of this 46892, this 50522, and this 53114 as potential upside targets for today. Now, moving over and having a look at the weekly pivots, what we can see is that we are underneath our weekly pivots. We've come back down, we've tested our S1 line, and we're currently holding this as support. If this continues to hold as support here, what we could see is price could be gravitated back up towards our central line, sitting between this 044 and this 046 area. If we do look for a move back up into this level in 3-wave structure, this could align with the idea of seeing that continuation to the downside. If, however, we continue to push up through this level and start to find support, then this week we have potential to come and test these targets of this 49318. We have this 55576 and this level here of this 59729 as possible upside targets for this week. So we're going to be keeping an eye on these if we do see price looking to push up there. If, however, we start to lose this line here, other targets to the downside for this week could be potentially this 035 area and this zone here of this 028693. So going to be watching these zones if we do see price continuing to push to the downside. Now, looking at the monthly pivots, we do have our central CPR lines as support below us here. We have this higher one sitting at this 36473. We have this 33520 and this level here of this 30648 as potential support below us if we do look to push down here. So overlaying that idea of this being a bigger 4th wave, we can see how this would align with coming back into this. Particularly this 382 would be the higher line here, and the lower line here towards this 50% would be towards the central CPR line. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price continuing to push to the downside here, it could mean that we could get some interaction with these zones lower down. If we do look to hold these central CPR lines, then we have potential to see price move back to the upside and test this 46843, this 54331, and this 67725 as potential upside targets. If, however, we start to lose these CPR lines this month, potential downside targets is this 26046. Now, I wouldn't really want to see this S1 target get broken if we are looking for this to continue to trend to the upside. If we start to lose this S1 line, we need to be careful because our S2 line is all the way down here towards this zone of this 12697. So we need to be very careful with this. If we do see price looking to break down into these zones, we need to see whether this area holds or whether we could actually just see this continue to sell off in a bigger way. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.